She's bleeding out after assassination attempt. Human saves life of his assassin. The blade missed his heart by inches. Had she not collapsed from blood loss, it might have been fatal. But now she lay on the floor of his apartment, blood pooling beneath her, her breathing ragged. She hadn't said a word since falling. Commander Elias Cade should have finished her. Instead, he dropped the broken wine glass he'd used to defend himself and knelt beside her. "Why?" he muttered, pressing his hand to the gash in her side. Her lips parted. A whisper escaped. "Poison on the blade, for both of us." Then her eyes rolled back. They met 3 weeks earlier, in the neutral zone between the Human Federation and the Zurich Empire. She had gone by the name Valessa, a diplomatic envoy, or so she claimed. Her skin was silver blue, her eyes violet, her movements almost too graceful to be natural. Elias had met diplomats. She wasn't one, but there was something behind her formal posture, something lost. So he invited her for a drink, and another. They had talked for hours. Politics, war, regret. When she asked if he had regrets, he said, "I regret not stopping the war sooner." When he asked her the same, she only looked away. Now, lying in his arms, Valessa was barely clinging to life. "Stay with me," Elias said as he carried her to his medical station. "You didn't finish the job. That means you get to live." She didn't respond. He activated the autodoc, placed her on the table, and began treatment. The scanner buzzed. Poison confirmed. Blade coated. Absorbed through her bloodstream. It wasn't just blood loss. The weapon was meant to kill them both. He worked through the night. Stabilized her. Flushed the toxins. Repaired torn muscle tissue with precision injectors. It took everything he had. And when he was done, she still looked like she might die, but she didn't. Valessa woke 3 days later. Elias was asleep on the floor, beside her. She blinked at the sterile lights, then at her own arms, wrapped in bandages. He stirred and looked up. "You're awake," he said, sitting up. "Didn't think you'd make it." She stared at him. "You should have let me die." He shrugged. "Didn't seem fair. You saved me too." Her expression darkened. "That wasn't my intent." "I know." Still happened. Over the next few days, she healed in silence. Elias didn't ask questions. He fed her, sat with her, never locked the door. Finally, on the 5th day, she asked, "Aren't you going to report me?" "I already lied to the council," he replied. "Told them you were a Zurich defector who brought me intel. You're protecting me?" "No, I'm protecting the part of you that hesitated before you struck." Valessa stared at him. "I didn't hesitate. You collapsed before you could finish it, but I saw it in your eyes. You didn't want to kill me." She looked away. That night, she stood at the threshold of his apartment. She could have left, disappeared into the stars, returned to her people. Mission failed. Instead, she turned back. "Why did you really save me?" she asked. Elias leaned against the wall. "Because I saw someone who hated herself more than she hated me." That hit her harder than any weapon. Tears welled up unbidden. She hadn't cried in years. She stepped inside again. Over the next weeks, they didn't talk about the war, or sides, or assignments. They cooked together, walked in the gardens of the orbital station, talked about the stars, not as boundaries, but as mysteries. Valessa told him about her home planet, the red sand, the triple moons. Elias told her about his childhood on Mars. And one night, she said, "I was trained from birth to kill. You were trained to save, and yet you saved me." "Maybe that's why you're still here," he said. "I don't know how to live like this." "You don't have to figure it out alone." One morning, alarms blared. Security breach. Interceptors inbound. A message played. "We know you harbor the assassin Valessa of the Shadow Fangs." surrender her, or prepare for consequences. Elias turned to her. You should go. They'll kill you. I'm not running, she said. I won't make you lie again. He looked her dead in the eye. Then we fight. Valessa paused, then smiled for the first time. Together? Always. The attack lasted only 10 minutes. But when the smoke cleared, the security forces were in retreat. Thanks to her, not because she was deadly, but because she chose to protect, not destroy. For the first time, she used her skills to save. Elias took her hand afterward, blood still drying on his face. You're not an assassin anymore. She shook her head. I think I never was. Epilogue, 6 months later. A quiet farm on a green moon, far from the war zones. Valessa plants vegetables with bare hands. Elias builds irrigation systems. No one calls her assassin here. No one looks at her with fear. Because the man she tried to kill once held her life in his hands and gave it back. Now she's learning how to live. And for the first time in her life, she's not alone.